Hi and welcome to another episode of the Career Stories podcast. My name's Joe.
And I'm Carrie.
We are Careers Advisors for Skills Development Scotland, and you should already know that this podcast is all about speaking to people who are in their roles, career professionals, finding out a bit about their career journey from where they started to where they are now, a little bit behind the scenes around what they're currently doing, and then also any kind of future ambitions that they've got for themselves.
It's really a good opportunity to find out that little bit extra to maybe what you would maybe find out on My World of Work or by searching things up, and just having those little behind the scenes in like peeks into what it's actually like to do a job. So we're joined today by the very lovely Dan Hancock, who is a mental health and exercise coach. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Thank you.
I know that's one of those titles that was quite simple there, but I guarantee you behind the scenes that's got a lot like more than just the title itself. So like give us a way we always like to start on this podcast is actually like from the beginning, right? Which takes you back. And for me that was a long time ago, 16 years ago. Don't know what it was for you and your journey. So where did you start in terms of school to this point? So subjects wise, time in school versus then obviously leaving and moving into this.
Yeah, well, I'm 34 now, so it was a little bit of time ago. I think I left school in 2009, I believe it was. But yeah, I had a very nice upbringing. I live in Stirling, so close to here in central Scotland, and I had parents who were both in education. So that was an interesting upbringing because it was like having teachers back home as well. But I had a typical upbringing, like a young Scottish lad, played football, really enjoyed football, and everything was set out for me to have a very happy upbringing. However, there were some issues. At the time, had undiagnosed ADHD. So got into a lot of trouble at school, outside of school. Couldn't quite concentrate in class, and I couldn't quite apply myself in the way that was probably expected, especially for having two teachers as parents back home as well. So I did struggle. I got into a lot of trouble, had a lot of behavioural issues, but really that was just me having an outlet because at the time I probably didn't have anything that I was that passionate about. So my passions were being disruptive and getting into trouble. When it came to school subjects I was good at, I was very creative. I was good at art. I was good at writing. I was good at PE. And like I said, exercise and sport was my main outlet. That was the thing that made me feel happy. That was the thing that made me feel at peace. That was the thing where I felt I could express myself. And that was the place where I really felt like me. So I always knew in some way that I would have a career within the sport and physical activity sector. I didn't quite know how or what that would be. But that was my school life. In my final year of school, I stopped going and I had a 13% attendance rate. God knows how, but I somehow managed to pull the grades to get into university. Went to Glasgow University and just really, really struggled there as well. I couldn't apply myself. I didn't have that spark. I didn't have an interest in the subjects, but I also found it really difficult to sit there and learn. I found it a lot easier when I would find a project and go off and learn myself. So I think I hold the record of the most amount of times being dropped out of university, which is 4.
Right, okay, amazing. Yeah.
And that was my early life and my early relationship with education.
See that, just like talking about your uni and transitioning to uni, right? So the way you described your school experience, for us who work in school as careers advisors, you would definitely flag up as somebody that's saying they're going to go to uni would be concerned for us because clearly, ultimately you maybe showed that education at that time, albeit you achieved, and that's amazing. But just because you achieve doesn't really tell the bigger story. And obviously a step up to uni, the kind of level of commitment that requires and probably the where you need to be in your own mental state to be able to do it. Did you do that because you mentioned your parents were teachers? Did you feel that was like, that'll be great, they'll love that, that's brilliant, but actually probably somewhere knew this might be a struggle for you?
I remember I had an argument when I was wee and I said I wasn't going to university and it turned into a big argument. So it was obviously that was, they just wanted what's best for me. They're amazing parents, they're absolutely brilliant. And they were saying that out of their own caution, out of their own worries, that I was going to go completely off the rails, which I did. So the irony is that I did when I got to university because I didn't have that level of maturity that you're talking about.
And I think that's really important to kind of recognise as well, is that sometimes people aren't quite ready to go straight to uni. And I also think, you said you're 34, I'm 33, I think you're also 33. And then so I think when I was leaving school, well, it was that sort of weird thing of you go to uni and if you don't, you're not really doing as well. That's how I felt anyway. And I didn't go to uni. I went full time at Nando's, so it's one of those sort of weird things that you feel like, oh, all my friends are going to uni. I should kind of go too. My parents expect me to go to uni, so I should go too. And now there's so many more options. There are like your graduate apprenticeships, your different apprenticeship routes, you're going into work, you're going and finding yourself going to college for a year and kind of figuring out who you are sort of thing. And I think these things can make all the difference. But again, you still did it, even though it maybe didn't feel that perfect.
Yeah.
But
4 times dropping out, right?
It's wild.
I'm all right doing the first one, making mistakes. Second one, you go, that wasn't for me. 4. So what were you studying different things every time?
So when I moved to Glasgow, it was exactly what you said. It was just presumed that I was going to go there, and then because I somehow managed to get the grades, I have no idea how I managed to, because I couldn't revise. I literally, there was some way I must have retained the information somewhere, and. I wanted to move away. My mates were moving to Glasgow, so I was like, right, that'll be cool. So I moved there, didn't attend, so that's why I got kicked out the first time. The second time, I think I just left. I think I just stopped going. Then I went so that was to do sports and exercise science, but the issue with that was, I don't know what it's like now, but when I was at Glasgow University, you don't actually do anything related to sport in the sport and exercise science course until you're in your 3rd year. So I had 2 years of like going and like dissecting things, and it was just, you don't go into these labs, and it was horrible. I absolutely hated it. So then I went to Stirling Uni, which should have been my first choice, being the School of Sport, but because I lived in Stirling, I wanted to move away from home, so that would obviously influence my choice. So I went to Stirling to do sports studies there, and it was a similar thing. It was a much better course, it was much more suited to me, but I just couldn't apply myself. I couldn't do it, and I've got a lot more empathy towards the younger version of myself now, because I understand why, and it's not to blame neurodiversity or ADHD, but that was a factor, and it is something that I wish I had been aware of. Would I have potentially used it as an excuse? Potentially. So I'm glad that the way things have worked out in the way that they did, but there was just nothing that, although I was interested in sport, there was just nothing that really, really excited me. I felt like I was being fed information that didn't stimulate me, and I couldn't interpret in my own way. And I can't remember what happened in Stirling. I'll tell you what I did do though. My gran had dementia, and I was able to qualify like after my first year. I got like a certificate of higher education or something that's called. So we told my gran that I was graduating university. But I was basically past first year, and then that was it, and I dropped out again.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's the recognition, what you say, and even just saying about that empathy you have now. And I think that's something that we never have for ourselves in the moment, is we're very hard on ourselves, and then other people, even they want the best for you, so they're kind of going, oh, come on, get through it, do this, do that. But then I think looking back, you can kind of go, you know what, it didn't work out, but look where I am now. Nobody's a careers advisor because they were sitting thinking, I'm going to be a careers advisor.
When I was 8, I thought careers advisor is just the dream job for me. So no, you're right, and it's all down to circumstances, and then discovering who you are. And I think what's really interesting about where you are now versus the story you tell about yourself when you're younger is the consistency of like what you enjoy has stayed the same. Like so, although you work in maybe a slightly different role to maybe where you first thought you'd going to uni the first time, like you still have that obviously love and passion for sport and exercise, and how obviously improving others. So talk about then, so you did obviously dropped out 4 times. So at what point did you start to see, I guess, sorry, I know I keep reminding it. We'll cut
You're like,
this out.
4.
I'm still, and I'm not judging you because I've dropped out as well. So, but
I didn't go. So, well, I did eventually. I am qualified to be a careers advisor.
No, but
it's all coming out now.
I know. God, apologies. But so talk about this journey that you're on now in terms of when that first started and then became obviously something as successful as it's been.
Yeah, so although I used to love sport, I didn't go to the gym until I was in my early 20s, and I started to go. I fell in love with it. It was amazing. It made me feel that same feeling that I felt when I was younger, of freedom of expression, which is what football gave me, and obviously a physical and mental outlet, learning skills, things like that. So I thought, you know what, I'm not going to be a PE teacher. I'm not going to qualify or get a degree in this profession. So what can I go and do that I enjoy? So I trained as a gym instructor, and I trained as a personal trainer. Fell in love with the gym, absolutely loved it. At the time, I didn't realise that I was probably exercising for the wrong reasons. When I was 16, I'd been the victim of a serious assault. I got really badly beaten up, broken ribs, fractured eye socket. And there was obviously then something within me that thought, right, I need to portray myself as big and strong. So when I was going to the gym, typically it was going to build an aesthetic look and to look strong and to be able to impress girls on a night out, because I thought at the time that's what was important. Yeah. But over time, I started to realise that as I tried to build this body that I thought I wanted, I didn't actually want that, and it didn't make me any happier. When I then qualified as a personal trainer and started to help other people, I experienced the exact same thing. You people reaching out to you and they're saying, I want to look a certain way, I want to drop X amount of body fat. But really, when you get down to it, it's not why they're there. They're not. They want to become happier. They want to build their self-worth. They want to build their confidence. And is changing your appearance going to do that? It can do, but not if you base your whole identity and self-worth on your appearance. And unfortunately, we're living in a day and age where people believe that their self-worth is based on the way that they look, whether it's facially, whether it's their body, or whether it's to do with a status like careers. Like we're chatting about, a lot of people place their full identity in that. And there's nothing that people place their identity more in than their body. So after a few years of coaching, I loved it. I was getting quite good at it. I was really enjoying supporting these people, but I realised that I could help an individual completely change their appearance, but they still weren't satisfied and they still weren't happy. And I was like, right, there's got to be something more to this. The more conversations I had that went deeper, the more that I identified that people really were coming to improve their mental health. They were coming to improve anxieties. They were coming to improve stress. They were coming to overall just be happier and change their opinion of themselves in a really positive way. So I started to I realised that there was something missing here. I realised that the elephant in the room was mental health, but nobody was talking about it. Your PT qualifications don't even mention mental health, or they didn't at the time. And we have 7 dimensions of health, and physical health is just one of them. And the other dimensions of health, which, social, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, occupational, like these, mental health encompasses all of these different dimensions of health, but it wasn't being spoken about. So I started to develop alternative methods of training my clients. I started to speak to them about their mental health. I started to set mental health goals as metrics and milestones. I started to research the benefits of exercise for your mental health. And I started to piece together all of this evidence working with these individuals, and it worked, and it was amazing. And what I found so fascinating was people felt that working with an individual who had poor mental health was going to be difficult. They felt it was going to be a difficult client. They wanted to avoid these people because they're like, I don't want to open up Pandora's box. But what they didn't actually realise was, if you're training someone who's at rock bottom and the lowest of the low, and you get them to transform their life, that's the most rewarding person that you could possibly work with. What an amazing story that can be. So I started to piece together all of my evidence, and I started to talk about it online. And typically when you see a personal trainer, you'll see them advertise their service with a before and after picture, which is typically, we'll get these vulnerable people reaching out saying they want to change their body. But as soon as I started to tell stories about my clients and what they've been through, everyone listened, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I started to get people reach out to me from all over the country saying, how can we do what you do? This is great. But a mental health certification didn't exist for personal trainers. So I spent the next year during lockdown creating one. And we launched in February of 2021. I got my best mate, Ben, to leave his job. Oh, wow. As a senior management in the energy sector to come and help me. So thank you.
That's a lot of trust.
I know, a lot of trust.
It's a good pal.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And we launched in February 2021, and we haven't looked back. We've now trained up 500 coaches across the UK. We've got some overseas now as well. And we're having an amazing impact on the industry, because people are now coming and exercising to improve their mental health and changing all aspects of their life, because they're building these transferable skills that can be used for employability. It can be used for getting back into work. It can be used for integrating into society. We're doing some cool work. Very proud of it.
I don't think I've ever been this lost in listening to what you were saying there, because it's so good.
It's
in terms of
Thank
it's something you don't think that I think now, as you said, it's more on topic now of people talking about their feelings, how they're feeling. But maybe in the professional context of certain skills or certain jobs, it isn't maybe transitioned in a way that is really supportive. And it sounds like that there, you know, why has it never always been a thing? Because it clearly is. I think we can all talk. We're from two bit different perspectives. You are a gym bug now, and I'm like you in terms of like, well, like kind of ADHD, try to get into things, and then I get super focused, and then I kind of peter off because it doesn't bring me that satisfaction that you're looking for. And I think having someone like that, like yourself, and a coach that can go, well, what is your reasons for being here? Like, why are you doing this? It just seems like it should always be a thing.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think like
So
when I think about my camera roll, it is filled of so many before, like you take all these before photos because you're going to change your life and you're going to change everything. I ran a marathon last year and I've never been so sad in my life. I was so sad and I felt terrible, and I was probably, you know, I'm running 26 miles in Vienna, which was pretty cool. But I cried most of the way. I felt terrible. I hated everything. I just felt terrible about myself. And then in the last year, I've gotten into the gym. I did go to a PT, but again, it was more that like focus on aesthetics, visual, and I felt like I didn't really get that much from that. And then I've been doing a lot of research myself and everything, and I do feel like now I'm not just going to the gym because of I want to look better. It's because I feel better when I go to the gym. I feel like I've done that and I feel good and I feel strong. And it's not about looks, it's about feeling like you can accomplish something. And I think having someone like yourself who's focusing on that, you'll look better if you do all these things, but that's a byproduct.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, exactly, a bonus. And I think that's so important, and I think that's such an important thing to be talking about. And
does this come from you? Like, so I always feel when we hear people moving into like mental health or even like medical sector, usually in their own life, they've had their own, I know you mentioned a little bit about your neurodiversity and stuff like that as well, and your own challenges, but we've been snooping your Instagram as well, and obviously you had like, you know, the typical young out there life where you're out, well, what I call it the randan, shall we say?
Is that a Glasgow thing? The randan?
But like, you know, you're probably out there doing the typical Scottish thing that probably halts a lot of the culture in Scotland halts a lot of people from progressing, but you know, they've got opportunities to go into sport and things, but the culture keeps them back. Did you feel like that was that a big hurdle for you to overcome for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you don't have anything that you're passionate about and is your purpose, then you're going to finding satisfaction and pleasure in different ways, which is what I definitely did for a long time of my life. But it was because, again, like, I know it's interesting at the moment because I feel like one of the biggest pieces of advice you can give to a young person is to find like your passion and your purpose. But I know then there's quite a lot of backlash at that at the moment. So it's like, well, you're putting too much pressure on someone. Maybe they don't have this purpose, and maybe if they are then too busy thinking about, I need to be this specific thing, then there's not enough I suppose, opportunity for the world to surprise you, because a lot of the time you just have to get started on something and then the path will reveal itself. But for me, definitely it was. I didn't care about anything. I literally didn't care about anything. So then obviously as a result, I didn't really care about myself. I didn't really care about my aspirations. But in typical ADHD fashion, someone with neurodiversity, there's one of my favourite sayings. It's like, you know that you've got a superpower, but you don't know what it is or how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's kind of a big ego attached. You're kind of like everything around you is crumbling down, but then you're like, no, it's fine. Like I'll work it out. So there definitely was always something that I knew that I would find something to be passionate about. But I'm very, very fortunate that I have found this, because it's the most rewarding thing in the world. There's nothing better than working on something and almost like gamifying your life and being able to help other people as a result. It's amazing. It's something that I do take for granted quite a lot, and I need to, in the whirlwind of it all, you do need to take a step back and realise what you've done and take stock and be like, this is the exciting part, as opposed to always thinking about what's next. That's something that I'm very guilty of. But once you stop and pause for a moment, you realise there's nothing better in the world. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I think as well, like a lot of times, like you're saying about like if people focus on what they're passionate about, then like having that focus can be really good. But like you say, if people aren't sure, then that can be a lot of pressure to be like, everyone else knows what they want to do and they know they love this and they know they love that, but I don't know what I love. But actually, when you narrow it down, like you said there, you're helping people. That's a huge, broad umbrella. So you can be in almost any career in the world, and you could spin that to be this is helping somebody. So really, it sounds really silly as a careers advisor, like it doesn't actually matter what you do, it matters how you feel and what you get out of it. So if you want to help people, then there are so many different ways you can do that, whether it's doing something like what you do. You can even things like working in IT, that's helping people, you know, there's all sorts of different things that you can be doing and you can approach it.
Well, for me it's the journey as well. So you're 2021, this started probably for you in terms of the qualification.
With the qualification, it was in the fitness industry. I've been in the fitness industry for about a decade now, but it's been the last 4 or 5 years that we've been doing the professional.
But even that,
side.
like you look at Dan at 18 versus Dan now at 34, and like, you know, this last 4 years for you particularly, I mean, you know, you've created a qualification in mental health, you know, like that seems like a massive step away from where you were. Like it feels like yesterday, but obviously it was a few years ago. But I think my point by that is when we speak to kids, they think they need to know as soon as they leave school. The moment they leave school, that's it. That's the thing they're going to do, and their journey will be linear. But actually, you can quite tell that it can be like a bit of a winding road.
Yes. And from someone who didn't engage with education or found it difficult to engage with education to then create a qualification. How cool.
I know.
Like, would past you believe that?
How was that like? What was that like in terms of creating the qualification? The process,
Yeah, it was... It was difficult, obviously. It was very difficult. But when it came to what I was putting in there, I was doing it. I knew everything. It was basically just writing down what I was doing day to day and writing down the processes. And there's something that I have realised recently that I don't think I knew before. But a lot of people have said that I'm quite good at making complex things really understandable. So that's obviously for me, with ADHD, I will try and connect dots between things that I don't understand in order to understand them in a more simplistic way. So obviously I've developed the ability to be able to do that and break things down so it's so simple and so understandable, because that must be how I compute things. I haven't realised that until quite recently. But one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get for individuals that do our award is, it's you know, they're amazed by it. Like they love the content, like the research that we put into it is so vast. Like the amount of things that people just don't understand about exercising the brain is amazing. So they feel like they're learning so much, but one of the biggest pieces of feedback we get is they're like, oh, so simple. Like it makes so much sense. And I think we used to take a little bit of offense to it, because we were just like, no, you're mind blown. Like tell us that this is like amazing. But what they were actually referring to was that, right, I can go and now plug and play this. It's not this big, complex, scary thing. It's actually very user-friendly. And the more user-friendly it is, the more simplistic it is, the easier that it can be integrated into their business, the easier that it can be that they can help more people. So actually, I see it as one of the biggest compliments now, that they're like, oh, it makes sense. It's similar in the way that when I first told you about it, you were like, this makes sense. Like, why? You know, why hasn't this been done before? So, it was a very complex process, but... again, because I was passionate about what I was doing, it was like, right, let's go.
And what types of like individuals are taking up the qualification, the course? So like, what are you seeing kind of professional wise? Is it all people within sport? Is it people externally in business?
So what I'm really proud of at the moment is, within the first year or so, it was about like 90% of people already in the fitness industry. So fitness instructors, gym instructors, personal trainers, but we did have a couple of sports coaches, a couple of PE teachers, and quite a few people looking to transition into the fitness industry as well. So our program coordinator, Fee, she used to be a social worker, and she now works with us, but she came on to do the award and didn't really actually know what a mental health and exercise coach was, or what sort of doors of opportunity that would open. It's very, very, very transferable, very universally applicable when it comes to that. We've got individuals that come to become a mental health and exercise coach now. They're in the prison service, you know, helping prisoners. We've got people who put on retreats. We've got people that go into corporates. We've got people that go into schools. So it's a very, very wide mix. Now, typically, it will be people who are already within the fitness industry, because they're like, I'm a personal trainer, and they're experiencing the things that I was experiencing. Like, there's got to be more than
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I'm helping someone maybe change their appearance, but they're still not happy about it. There's got to be more. Or they're identifying what everyone else is seeing, that, you know, so many people are struggling with their mental health. They've got clients coming to them and they don't know how to have those conversations. They don't know whether they need to refer them to a mental health specialist. They've got clients coming in talking about anxiety and stress, and they don't feel like they have the toolkit to be able to support these individuals. Or, you know, they followed us and they're just realising, right, this makes sense. Of course I should be thinking about the bigger picture with these individuals. But some of the really cool things that we're doing at the moment is we're finding that there's a lot of full circle moments. So I'll give you an example. I travelled down to the Lake District the other week to meet with one of our clients. So essentially, there's a woman called Sam, and she reached out to us 2 years ago on behalf of her daughter, Darcy. Darcy was 9 years old at the time, struggling with Tourette's syndrome, and they weren't getting any support at all. They were going to the GP. The doctor was saying, just keep doing what you're doing. And Sam's like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, there's not a guidebook. And because neurodiversity is so subjective based on the individual as well, they just weren't getting the support in place for Darcy. So Darcy's tics were getting really bad, physical, verbal, facial tics. It got so bad that Sam and her husband Glenn, they couldn't even sleep because Darcy was really loud verbal tics during the night, and they were so stressed. So Sam obviously identified that exercise is great for your mental health, and it would be able to help Darcy de-stress. It would be able to help her regulate her anxiety, and the better that someone with Tourette's syndrome, the better their mental health, of course, you know, the better overall health, and it will start to allow some of those tics and those symptoms to decrease. Yeah. So she reached out to us. She did a year on our programme, both Sam and Darcy, because I said that there's no point in us putting Darcy through it on her own. Like, you need to know what we're teaching her. You need to know the content as well. Yeah. And obviously Sam didn't realise at the time that she needed it just as much as Darcy did. Yeah. So they went through this programme. It was an online programme. They got supported by Fee, who I was talking about earlier. And over the course of that year, Darcy's tics massively reduced. She built her confidence. She was able to concentrate in class and in school. And then she got into sport. She got into running. And then Sam, the mother, loved it so much that she was like, I want to do this. So then she came to train with us as a PT and as a mental health and exercise coach. And now she's fully qualified, and she's helping parents and families in the local area who have kids going through similar struggles. So she's now going off and deliver that as well. So the amazing thing is there's so many full circle moments now where people are coming for their own health, and then they're actually transitioning into the fitness industry to become a professional themselves. So it's amazing.
Wow. That's amazing. Have you ever seen the film Pay It Forward? It's a really random thing to say, but have you seen it? No,
but I know the term.
So it's a really sad film. Like, don't watch it; it'll make you cry. But like, it's the whole point of it is this thing of like, you do one good thing for one person, and then that person passes it on to 5, and then each of them passes it on to 5, and on and on and on, and it's this huge tidal wave of amazing good things for the world. And that's what this sounds like to me. That's the first thing that I thought of when you were saying that, is that, you know, she came, it was for her daughter, but actually she needed it too. And now she's passing it on to other people who maybe didn't realise that they needed it. And then she can use her own lived experience to go, this made all the difference for me, made all the difference for my daughter. And as like parents, you go out and all you want in the world is for your children to be happy and to be healthy and to be supported and included. And that's something that would be really difficult when she was struggling with her tics and with all these symptoms that were coming, to then be able to even just have the confidence to go, well, this is what I've got. Yeah.
And it's the thing as well, because what you're teaching is like a change in almost like their mindset, rather than, you know, it's not like a sign, you know, a jab or a pill that will change something. It's very much, you know, through doing there will be change. And I think that's the best review I guess you can get from showing that it works, that someone who's got, you know, something like Tourette's, which obviously can be really, really tough to live with, to then feeling better. And then also parent as well. It's like such a good way to show you're doing a good job, I guess.
Aye, definitely.
Like, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah, and then you said about obviously that they found you online, like through social media and things. So obviously a huge part of being self-employed, having your own business, all these sorts of things, is you've got to promote yourself, and the main way of doing that now is through social media. So how do you balance that aside, do you have like to remember to post things and like show what you're up to? Like, how do you find that?
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult because it sounds like a cliche thing, but it's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah.
And because where we're at the moment, like I know I said we've been doing this specifically for 5 years and we've helped so many people, but it's still so early days. Like it seems like a lot of people, 500, that's great. I'm not being now negative about it, but it's like it is a drop in the ocean compared to where we want to go.
Course.
Like we firmly believe that every single person who is delivering any form of physical activity should be doing this.
Yeah.
Whether it is a parent at their who's helping their local kids football team, or whether it is a PE teacher. Sports all the way from grassroots up to professional, and of course the fitness industry as well. We believe that everyone should be doing this because we're seeing the results and we're seeing how it works. And then not to make this about health and safety, but from a safeguarding standpoint, of course people should know this.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got someone coming into the gym and they're stressed and they're anxious, they're more likely going to be, you know, to injure themselves and things like that. So we're at this stage where it's kind of like we're shouting constantly, this is who we are and what we do. So social media is a massive part of that. What I have found personally difficult, just to be 100% honest, because I think it's you know, we should be transparent with it. It's very difficult when you're the face of the company, and when we first started it was quite controversial. So many people, we've received a ton of backlash. So people like, you're a PT, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
You know, save it for the professionals, and we had to deal with that and navigate it a lot. And your confidence, when your confidence to show up authentically as you and share your message and confidently share your message, despite there being backlash or in days when there's bad days or days, you know, you're running a business as well, which is stressful. For you to then go up and for that to directly reflect the success of the business and the growth of the business, because that's where we're at the moment, where I still do most of the marketing myself alongside Ben. It can be very, very, very challenging to show up when you don't want to do it. And because of there's a lot of noise that you need to drown out, you need to be very creative. You need to be, well, we don't need to talk about, we can't talk about like TikTok, you know, you've got 10 seconds to grab someone's attention, but then you don't want to be that person that is, you know, so it is very, very difficult to be able to find the balance. But what I have found is that if you are being authentic to you, you're not putting on a mask or putting on an act, if you are talking about something that you care about, if you are writing something or recording something that you then didn't even need to post, would you enjoy doing this? If the answer is yes, then it doesn't matter, you know, then that means that you can actually enjoy the process, you can enjoy the editing, you can enjoy the writing. So as long as I enjoy what I'm doing and I'm thinking about the bigger picture, I'm thinking about the why, I'm not thinking about, because obviously I've had posts that have went viral, so as long as I'm not thinking, oh, this would be good, like I wonder how many views and likes I can get, as long as I'm doing it like authentically because I want to help people, but I need to remind myself of that every single thing that I write, then it's good and it's fine. But it's scary because it's like, in what other world would you immediately receive feedback, and not nice feedback? And I know we need to be able to handle receiving feedback and criticism, but it's very, very tough. So I try to stay off my phone as much as I can now. And it's like social media is an outlet as opposed to me being a consumer.
That's a good way to put it. I think it is that cycle that we fall under, the your likes hunting, where like, you know, oh, why didn't that get so many likes, rather than thinking that the message is there and it will be there continuously for when someone who's ready to find it will find it, instead of thinking, well, that get 10,000 but I didn't feel like I did anything, versus that got a couple of hundred but I put more time into that. So like knowing, like you're saying there, and reminding people that, you know, you're doing it to promote your business but also your story, rather than to get some likes.
But it's difficult as well. Like, and there's so much of like the younger generation now. There was a study that I shared, actually, I'm going to completely butcher it now, but it was something like, it's like 1/3 of young Americans want to be a social media influencer or think that they're going to become famous. It's something like that. But the good comes with the bad as well. So like the whole reason that Sam reached out was because I had a viral post. I think it ended up being seen by like 4 million people. And it was about Lewis Capaldi and his performance at Glastonbury. And I was explaining about the mental health benefits to exercise. And that was amazing because we got, you know, Sam and Darcy to come on board. And maybe from that one post got maybe like 6,000 new followers or something like that. But then what you received as the backlash for that was so difficult to deal with as well. I remember as well, someone then copied my page and went through all the comments saying that people, like thousands and thousands of comments saying to these people, you've won a competition.
And
then they messaged, and then people were giving their bank details and stuff like that. So I had to handle that as So it's don't wish for that publicity. If it's coming,
Yeah.
you know, you'll receive some good things from it, but don't chase it because it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
It's great to know though, because I think that's just part of it. People do know about it, but I think until they aren't just like someone that's on their Instagram, got a couple of friends on their Facebook and their Instagram. It's when you become a business on these platforms, that's when you really see the side of it that can be, like you say, all the love, but sadly sometimes a lot of the negative as well.
And then you think as well, like, so I quite often, so recently, because obviously we do this and we do like social media for SDS and stuff like that. And like, so it's been quite a big conversation within my team at work, and we've been talking about like how young people use social media. And so it's been a big conversation that quite a lot of people I've been speaking to recently, I've been talking to them about their screen time. I had a girl the other day, she's got 42 hours of screen time over the space of 2 days. So I was like, so you slept for 2 hours? And she's like, I don't even know how that is that high. So you think about it, they've got all of this screen time, all this time scrolling on their phone, looking through things. So it's important that so when we're putting stuff out there, when you're putting stuff out there, it's about trying to be like this little drop in the ocean of positivity that isn't all the other stuff that they're coming across, because we can't control what other people do. But what you can control is that the things that they come across that are from you are something that will be a positive that could, you know, whether your stuff, it could change their life. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. No, it's
Good luck
true.
with that.
No, it's true. Like, if we're going to use social media, might as well use it for good. So as long as I can maintain a good relationship with social media, it means that I can promote positive stuff. And then we're living in a world now where we're never not going to be using it. So we might, as when it comes to younger generation as well, it's about how can we use it sensibly, how can we use it for good, because there isn't any escaping it. But yeah, if we can consume it in the right way and use it in the right way and share some positivity, then then at least we're doing our own individual jobs.
100%.
It's so good. It's frustrating because we could talk about this all day, but I'm curious, actually, one thing we haven't talked about just briefly before we finish up is about, obviously you're still early on in this, and you mentioned yourself that you know it's great to recognise that 500 is still a lot, but obviously you've got ambitions to go to the moon, I guess. So what is those ambitions? What's the next step for you in terms of maybe even in a year's time? Where would you like to be as a company, as a person?
So we are now an enhancing training partner provider for SIMSPA, which is the Fitness Industries Chartered Institute. So essentially they come in and they audit absolutely everything, and it's not just the quality of your course, it's like it's your team, it's your quality assurance, it's how Ben stores exam information, it's like it's literally it's everything. And we were ranked up like the top of the best of the best. Brilliant. Out of companies that have been doing this for 20, 30 years. So we're very proud of that, but now that we've got that, we are now on a local board with SIMSPA, so we can start to influence change. We are now sitting in the room where we're talking about what can we do to improve careers pathways into the fitness industry, and then once you're already within the fitness industry. So we're currently in the process where we're kind of fighting for a mental health and exercise coach to be viewed as an advanced practitioner. So a personal trainer would be a practitioner, we're more of an advanced practitioner to give greater legitimacy and authenticity around the role. So we firmly believe that this should be a prerequisite within the fitness industry. So that's what we're fighting towards. Obviously, we want to go overseas. We've been very, very sensible. Ben's made me be sensible by going deep rather than wide. So now that we've got that partnership, we can start to think about branching out overseas, because we deliver it virtually. That's, you know, the scalability is not a problem there. But we believe everyone should do this, and we believe that this should be in the workplace as well. We believe that this should be in schools. I believe that the concept of mental health and exercise coaching should be taught to pupils. I believe that becoming a mental health and exercise coach should be a career path for pupils. What is amazing now as well is that mental health and exercise coaching is now being viewed as a legitimate role, and 5 years ago this thing didn't even exist. So the fact that a role has been created that didn't exist, I think should hopefully be a source of inspiration for young people as well. Like, I'm not going to say like if you can't find a job, create your own job, but you know, it can be done. So we know where it is going. Like I said, obviously sometimes it can cause a little bit of frustration, because you know, when you're fighting and shouting and there's so much policy and red tape and sometimes backlash, and where people just don't see it yet. So next year we want people to really see it, really understand it, for people to know that mental health and exercise coaching is a career path, but is also something that all personal trainers and sports coaches should be doing. and then branch out overseas and hopefully have vulnerable individuals from all over the world be able to receive this support.
Amazing. And I think as well, like you're talking about all that branching out, and when you speak about like this job didn't exist 5 years ago, and we say that to people all the time, future jobs, it's not just, I think people have this certain idea of these are the jobs that exist, but there's all these other jobs that are above that, below it, around about it, and like hiding beneath the surface. And there's jobs that people will be going into primary school just now. What are the jobs going to be like when they come out of high school? Like it's crazy. So that is a really important thing to be looking at. What do you want to do? Not so much the job title sort of thing as well. And I think getting out there and speaking to pupils. So many of the pupils that I speak to in my school they're into the gym and but how much of that is, how much do they know what they're doing? How much are they just doing it again, like it's that sort of superficial physical appearance sort of thing? How much of it is about that sort of mental health side? How much of it is about, making themselves feel better? And actually having these sorts of things spoke about would be amazing. So you're more than welcome at Gala Shields Academy.
Thank you. I know. No, but to be fair, I imagine you'll be like stretched in all ways in it, especially if you're doing a lot of it. Do you do a lot of your teaching yourself as well? You do a lot of the coaching itself?
I've taken a step back from quite a lot of it because I was just too emotionally invested. It was amazing and I loved it. And I love speaking and presenting, but typically the courses will get taught by my team now. So but and also because I can't shut up, so I'm there all day, and Ben needs to time keep, and it doesn't go well. But one thing I will say just very quickly as well, based on what you just said there, I think like if there was a piece of advice for anyone who's thinking about exercising or is starting to go to the gym, like, not to scaremonger, but like if you are going purely to change the way that you look, like that can be really damaging. It can cause a lot of issues. It can cause you to fixate on your body even more. It can cause you to objectify your body. But if you're going for your mental health, it's literally one of the best things that you can do. So the typical reason why so many people go to the gym is one of the worst reasons to go, and it can cause this long-lasting damage. But if you're going to improve your mental health, it's one of the best things that you can do, because you can learn all these life skills, discipline, resilience, confidence that you can then transfer to everyday life. So think about your intention, think why you're going. It's amazing you're wanting to exercise, but do it for you to feel better as opposed to try and impress somebody else.
No, I think that's such a good point to make. 100%.
It's definitely motivated me to go to the gym, not for my appearance. But
so were you not talking about going to the sauna was your reason for going to the gym?
Right, okay, the sauna is a very good aftermath if you've got one at your local gym. But no, listen, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate you being here and telling your story, and obviously it will be shared far and wide on our socials. Obviously you're on social, are you willing to share it to everybody? What are you on, Instagram, TikTok?
So Mental Health PT. Mental Health PT, you'll find me everywhere, TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.
Amazing. Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you so much. It's been fantastic.
Yeah.